So a day-night breakdown is something you're going to have to figure out for every script you work on. Something you need to figure out the dates and the times of each of the scenes that are happening in the script. Usually this is pretty straightforward if you're working on like a historical piece or like a Christmas movie or like a holiday movie and you know for a fact what day everything happens on. But most movies aren't like this and you're going to have to actually figure it out. And a lot of the times it's not decided ahead of time. You're just going to figure it out based on clues. Just in case you're on the day of a production and you're filming and there's a calendar in the back of a scene or there's a clock on the wall, you're going to have to make sure that that's accurate. Let's just jump in. We'll just go through the script. I've got the script right here. I'm going to have to figure out the date and time by reading it. So we're in scene 1 and here's Jessica. She's on her way to work and she says here, "I'm late for work." So we know for a fact it's a work day. So it's probably not going to be a Saturday or a Sunday. And she's late for work, so it's going to be sometime after, we'll say 9. 9 is a reasonable time for people to be at work. So we'll say it's a weekday, sometime in the morning after 9. So we go through, Jessica enters the lobby and she's talking to Harold, the receptionist. And she's talking about being late, and Harold says here, "Not like yesterday." So she was working yesterday, so yesterday was a work day. So today cannot be Monday. Today has to be at least Tuesday onwards. And then the next line, immediately after, she's talking about how late she is. She says she's 5 minutes late. So we know for a fact it's not Monday and it's 9:05. Right here, okay, we jump to another scene that's happening. I assume this is happening concurrently, thanks to the estimated runtime that we got in the last video. We know that last scene, the last 2 scenes added together, are about a minute long. It's just shy of a minute, but we know there's probably a little bit of buffer time in between these scenes. So we can safely say that this next scene is going to take place at like 9:06. Mr. Johnson's on the phone and he's talking to one of his associates in Tokyo. What time is it in Tokyo? It's very easy to figure out. You can just find one of those online time zone calculators. And we know that if we say, for example, we've gotten confirmation that this script takes place in New York City, we know that in New York, if it was 9:06 a.m., then in Tokyo, it would be 11:06 p.m. So we'll write that down as well. Reading down this script, we hear Mr. Johnson's just gotten word that Jessica's late, and he says, "That's the 3rd time this week." Okay, so we know for a fact it can't even be a Tuesday because it's the 3rd work day of the week. So it has to be at least a Wednesday onwards. It's either a Wednesday, a Thursday, or a Friday, and it's 9:06 a.m. So Jessica's walked into Mr. Johnson's office. They're talking to each other. He says, "Jessica, those reports I told you I needed tomorrow, I actually need them today, ideally within the hour." Okay. So he's asking about some reports that he wanted sent in by tomorrow. So if he wanted them sent in by tomorrow, then we know for a fact today cannot be Friday either. Because if he wanted them tomorrow, it wouldn't be a work day. So it has to either be a Wednesday or a Thursday. Let's keep reading. So here we go to scene 4. And we can tell that last scene was about 2 minutes long. So we know where it was 9:06. Now it's going to be 9:08. Jessica and Trish are talking. And Jessica has this line where she's talking about this takeaway coffee that she got. And she says, "They just started selling fall flavors." So we know that if, assuming that this script takes place in New York City, if we can just look up when fall begins in New York City, we can say that fall roughly starts around September. And they've only just started selling fall flavors, so I think we can safely assume that it's early September. There's no real clues in this one, so let's go to the next scene. It's a flashback to her childhood. She's 8 years old and playing in the park with her childhood friend Trish. Interesting. So what year is it? What time is it? So we see that she's 8 years old. In the previous scene, she doesn't mention her age, but she mentions, "I'm a career-focused young adult." So I'm just going to say ballpark, she's like 25 years old. That would mean the difference between 25-year-old Jessica and 8-year-old Jessica would be 17 years. We know that the year that this flashback is taking place is 2009. Okay, so we know for a fact that it's about 2009. They're playing in the park, so it has to be nice weather out. It's during the day. We don't have any more clues about when this scene is going to take place, but we need to have a date. So I'm just going to say 2009, June 1st, and it's noon. So we have a scene here. Jessica wakes up, regaining consciousness, lying on the floor. "Jessica, you're all right. Oh my God, I thought I'd lost you." So Trish is talking to her in a way that kind of assumes that she's probably been unconscious for a little while. So it's not going to be like 2 minutes after this previous one. I'm going to say it's about 30 minutes. I'm going to say she's been unconscious for about 30 minutes. So let's say 9:38 a.m. Keep on reading, and there we are. I think we're out of clues. I don't think there's any more identifiable things. I've already had a second read through with this script, but it's a good idea to give it another read through. But just given all the details I've got, we know that this script takes place between 9:05 and 9:38. It's either a Wednesday or a Thursday, early September 2026. There's a phone call that's happening in Tokyo, so that's happening at 11:06 p.m. on the same day, and there's a flashback to 2009, June 1st, and it's noon. So another thing you have to take care of with the day-night breakdown is the script day. I explained this in a previous video, but let's go over it now. You'll be numbering all the scenes by day chronologically. So not the order they appear in the script, but the earliest scene taking place on the earliest day. The script is very straightforward. Everything takes place on the same day, except for that flashback to her childhood. So if we wrote it down on this day-night breakdown like I've got here, we would have every single scene taking place on day 2, except for the earliest day that we see in the script, which is script's day 1, which is scene 5, the flashback scene. With all the information you have, make sure you write it down in a script breakdown just like this one. So it's not just like random scattered notes on a printed out version of the screenplay. You actually have like a version here that you can cite. If you're on set and someone from set deck or someone from props just quickly asks you, hey, what time is it? Then you can just tell them, oh, I made sure to do this due diligence in pre-production. I know for a fact that this scene takes place at 9:08 a.m. and they can just set the clock or do whatever to 9:08 a.m. It happens way more often than you would think. Couple of things to consider, especially with the time zone thing. Sometimes you can actually have 2 scenes that take place on 2 separate dates at 2 separate times and happening together on the same day. You might not really have anywhere near as many clues as this. You might only know for a fact that it's like summer and it's the weekend. And in that case, you should just figure out, just put a pin in the calendar and figure out what day it is, just so that you know that it's going to be consistent across the whole production. When you go back, you can just say it's like January 1st. It's like January, I don't know, 30th or something like that. Is January 30th a day? How many fucking days are there in January? There's 31. Okay. Now you're going to need this day-night breakdown to figure out the whole script breakdown, which is a much bigger form with much more information on it. I'll get to that in another video. But other than that, feel free to comment if there's anything specific you want me to cover. If not, I'll see you in the next video.